Greetings from the past, my fellow time travelers, and welcome back to another episode of The Ladder. My name is Ty, and we're about to meet Kylie in a few seconds. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start off the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Hey there, Kylie. Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Don't tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'd forget it. Kylie's visits are frequent enough that they found a way into my schedule. They are supposed to be visits to her godmother, but we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me, if it makes Zura's focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Well, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled in her mother's arms and white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet, it was pleasant too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, Zura's infamous tortilla de la patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Oh, slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
Don't swear when children are there, oh my god. With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is along with a cup of coffee for me, what would I give for a cup of tea right now? And an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long, unless I want to let her turn the other room into a slaughtered ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. No. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa or Sissa is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. She looks creepy. Even now, it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it if it wasn't from Hana, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday. One of a kind. My darling Hana loves her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter. But she just can't keep her interests long with the wife. It's not something that Hana does wrong on her part. She just tries so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they have played and how they think. I know that scraps and skinned knees are all part of childhood, even with how I grew up. I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as the child can be, with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or to even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hana isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time, thinking it will spoil the child. It turns a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expected to see for a little girl, but hey, it doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She once put dolls' tutors on model cars even. Oh my god.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses.
Because they're baby horses.
So we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome!
A dinosaur zoo. Oh.
Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
Oh jeez. That look on her face. She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
TAKAKO says you're making a really funny face.
TAKAKO?
TAKAKO, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet, the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Sissa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacred by dinosaurs. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I found no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settle in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of his feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in it the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Roan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Blocks land in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more. The memory of my initial meeting with her is still fresh on my mind. She talks of the sad man in the park and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. When finally She finds nothing new to talk about. She goes back to her drawings. That would change as soon as her stomach settles, of course. The calm before the storm. Because, behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There is a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But, for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, at the children's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the blue one. I absent-mindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh.
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johans and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty. Though I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that or something else entirely. I really don't have time to process what the emotion is as the brat opens her mouth again.
You should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting. I heard that you might not be together anymore.
Oh. I have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume that we might be fighting. No thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour and, to put it in her terms, that we might not be together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
I heard it from a nice maid lady. But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand and bring her soup and make her drink medicine.
Oh, don't cry. I'm livid. Livid that one of my employees might gossip. And to a child of all people. Who says such upsetting things to a child? But my anger dies out when Kylie starts to tear up. She holds it back in an effort to not seem so childish, I assume. Though I am honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no, look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hana and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
Isn't that the truth? I love her. I'm just total shite at showing it. And a small part of me screams that I was not worthy to be her husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps in another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
So why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm a brat, probably. Motioning for her to come closer, I wrap my arms around and rub her back in an attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel her tears soak into my jacket that I realize that there might be something else to her worries. I've heard Suras is not getting along too well with his wife, as of late, because of how busy he is with work. Really, I was wholly tempted to just brush her question off and say that it's a grown-up thing. I could content myself in pretending that this isn't happening. But it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this, because I have to explain it not only for Kylie, but also for myself.
Sometimes, people fall out of love. Or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves, to think about each other. To know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other pretending they still love each other.
There is nothing final. But here we are, at a crossroads where the wrong step might end in a heartbreak. Hana thinks we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grown-ups can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend, no matter what, Teal?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it. And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Kylie's shoulders shake in laughter as she pulls away and gives me a toothy grin.
We're already old! But don't worry, when you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever! Just like they did with Abuelo!
What the hell? My thoughts come to a grinding halt at her words. Yet she goes on as if she hasn't just said such an odd thing. Why, it almost seems like the tyke is looking forward to my funeral. As if there is no confused expression on my face, she pulls me back to our drawings, commenting on the state of my weird dog. Commenting on the state of my weird dog. Sorry, I'm just so... Could it be that the maid's name is TAKAKO, like I already mentioned before, and that she is the one who is making Kylie sing all these weird things?
I think your puppy would look better magenta.
A journal update, yippee-yi-yay. What does it say? Oh. With Hana away for a checkup, Luke was left alone to watch over his godchild, Kylie Suarez. However, what was supposed to be a simple babysitting turned awkward when the precious child began spouting bizarre things. There's still something strange going on. I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. So it is a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I've called. Though it is earlier than the agreed upon time, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they left. Or at least I interpreted it as such from where I've stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man after all. But, to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about in the parlor. To my immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But the same cannot be said of the crayons and papers littered here and there. First things first. I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it into shreds, leaving no hope that it will see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylies, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colorful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There is one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, I am instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. Oh jeez. I knew it. I knew it. This is TAKAKO. I knew it. There is me, and there is Kylie. The two of us sat beside and smiling as our stick figures self-stand in a nondescriptive field. That much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman with her face hidden behind a curtain of black. TAKAKO, the writing under her supplies.
TAKAKO says you're making a really funny face.
Oh god.
Taka who?
TAKAKO, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath. That is mine. That has me turning around, expecting, hoping to see someone, anyone. But nothing. And that's when I hear it. Oh god. Ugh! Ugh! Laughter. Sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot. It's as if I'm being mocked. As I stump towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about, idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they can slack off in their duties without the head butler around and with my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance, at the very least. I roam around, looking for near impossible hiding places, and still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Cold uneasiness settles into my stomach when no one answers. I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea come from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave, then and there. The only thing my pride allowed me to do then is to close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flash in my head, unbidden and unwelcome. Like a strong hammer strike to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split in two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable. Though it doesn't take long for the sensations to get into my head, through my eyes and my ears, it creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. One after another, they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away from what feels like an eternity. Each one, a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it into 2. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that present itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that is not possible. All their anger burns through me. That much is evident, but the pain more so. And above it all, are the whispers. The voice is calling, luring, until one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open, looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. What? There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. What's the paper that you have in your hand? I should be concerned about them, but my mind finds it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and a woman, though one can only call them a lord and a lady, going by their clothes. And, oh, just see how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not all there. His face is familiar, though. In fact, they both are, but I can't quite place why. Well, because they are the same people like in the pictures in your house. But guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to my channel. If you're already subscribed, click on the notification bell down below so you get notified when I upload my videos. Share us on all your social media, and guys, we'll see you in the future or back from the letter. Have fun. This is so creepy.